Good morning and welcome to Time Price Analysis. This is a update on the GDX and the stocks in our strategic miners portfolio watch list and indeed actual portfolio. So I want to start with the GDX itself. So this is being recorded on Wednesday, the 28th of February. Looking at this long-term weekly chart, and I've got the lows all the way back in January 2016 labeled as a cycle degree wave 2 low. From that low, we saw a clearly impulsive five-wave structure to the upside into August of 2016, which would then be the intermediate degree wave 1 high. From there, we got a fairly clear move down, which didn't actually hit any of the retrace fibs. It came below the 50% and didn't quite get to the 618. And my preference is still that is the A wave of this intermediate 2, and that this sideways action since has been an A, W, X, Y for a B into the low we saw in early February. And we should now see a fairly strong move to the upside to around the 28.5 region in the C wave of this B, so that you've got an A, sorry, let me just highlight that for you, an A down to here, we're getting a B, C. And remember, B waves are extremely difficult waves to track in Elliott wave analysis. And then we come down here. But I'm cognizant of the fact that we also have a very bullish stance building in GC and particularly in silver. And also that the some of the stocks, in particular ABX yesterday, which is the biggest constituent of the GDX, came down and hit its long-term target that I have had for it at the full 50% retrace of its equivalent move up in 2016. And NEM has a potential count where it also may have seen a significant low, and it being the second biggest stock by market capitalization in this ETF. So I think it's an appropriate time to just do a recap of the potential here and consider our positioning, both the existing positioning and things we may want to look at adding. Because we do have the potential for this to all have been all of the wave 2 intermediate degree, this move up here to be a 1, and the WXY is this alt 2, and we're just going to take off to the upside in this complex. And I really don't want to be left trying to chase entries, because the risk that leaves on the table is fairly unpalatable. So let's come down a few timescales and look at this in the daily timescale. There's this the move up into August 2016. I've got this labeled just a straightforward ABC down to the lows in December 2016. That does look like a 5-wave move up, so it can be an A or a 1. Those are the two possibilities. So again, doesn't really shed any additional light on the analysis. This sideways Corp, I mean, WXY is the best fit for this potential 2 here. And we started to see this fairly strong move up. And yesterday, if I come over to the hourly chart, we look at this, I can get 5 waves out of that move up off the February the 9th low. And we came down yesterday and we hit this 786 retrace, and we started to bounce fairly strongly towards the end of the day. So what I'm looking for over the next few days is continuation of this. And then if I just reposition these retrace fibs, you can see the levels we need to take out. So it's starting with 22.28, 51, 22.84, and so on and so forth. So that's what I'm going to be watching in the GDX itself, and also the structure of this move up to see whether, I mean, unfortunately, again, if it's a C wave, it's going to be impulsive. But I think what we're going to get is an impulse up, and the story will unfold as we get the retrace as to whether it's a retrace that's corrective against whatever move up we get, or an impulse in this C down to these lower targets that I've got for the intermediate 2 between 15.26 and 17.85. But if we're going to get the move up, we may well want to be positioned in the portfolio a bit more heavily than we are at this present point in time. So if we now come over and take a look at that portfolio, and let's start with the daily chart of ABX. So again, very much like the GDX itself, I've got the wave 2, and I've actually got it as cycle degree down here in September 2015. So it bottomed a little bit earlier than the ETF itself. Clear 5 wave moved to the upside into July 2016. The A wave came down and hit the 38.2 retrace on the nose. This B wave here hit an exact 764 back, and then an A, B, C, right into the 50% retrace, just below the 1.0 extension, which is where the C wave and A wave would be equal in length. So the two levels I've been watching for a very, very long time in ABX are 1178, which is what we hit at the low yesterday, and 10.01, which is the 618, and would also be the 138.2 extension for the A to C wave. So the two most common relationships between the length of a C wave and A wave are the 1.0 and the 138.2. So we're past the 1.0. We may still need to come down here to this 10 region in ABX. But typically where this goes, the GDX goes. So if I come down next and look at this 4-hour chart, and this is the count off the top of the B wave. There's the A, B, 1, 2, 3, right into the 2.0. That move up that everyone thought we'd got the lows in came up here as a 4 to the 786, and then we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can count this complete right into that 2786 extension. So I'm going to be watching ABX very, very carefully here. And I just want to take a quick look. You can see here on the MACD, we've got all of the divergences we'd expect to see on this time frame. Now those can break in terms of the local divergences, but I'm looking for this divergency with this low in particular to hold here, and for the MACD to curl back up. So if we start to see ABX move to the upside, then I would consider adding a long position to, or taking shares in the portfolio in ABX. I'm not going to do it straight away. I would want to see us move up off this low, then use the low as the stop in this case. There is another potential count here off the B where this is the 1, this is the 2, and you can see we're not far off the 1618 extension here at 1104. So we come down to 3, 4, 5. So I just want to be careful before adding this to the portfolio. But again, we're at a critical point in both the GDX itself and in ABX. I just want to come over and look at NEM, which is the second largest stock. And this is the weekly chart. It's not part of the portfolio, but it is a bellwether of the index that I monitor. So off the 2015 low, impulse up for what I've got as an A. Then I'm looking for this A down into 38.2, same as ABX. A, B, C up into the 764, exactly the same as ABX. But I've been looking for this C wave down here to the 2664 area, the 50% retrace into this target zone. However, there is a possibility that this is all of the B wave done into this retrace fib here, and that we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a diagonal, and we've just hit the 50% back, and we're going to go up. So again, if I just bring that down and show you it on the 240-minute chart, this would be all of the this green B wave at primary degree. We have an A, B, C for a 1, A, B, C for a 2, A, B, C for a 3, A, B, C for a 4, and A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a wave 1 up as a leading diagonal, and a straightforward retrace into the 50% retrace fib. So we got quite a strong spike and reversal in NEM, and again, not wanting to add it to the portfolio, but in terms of looking at what we're expecting in the GDX, that's what I want to be watching here. The one thing that I also wanted to point out in the GDX here was the stance of the MACD on the 4-hour chart. We have this extreme divergence going on, and at the moment that's holding. So again, another indicator that I'm watching very carefully here for telltale signs that we're going to take off to the upside. And in silver, I've got the, let me find it, sorry, on silver. This MACD scenario, and what we're looking for in silver is for a strong move to the upside where this MACD takes out this trend line here with a vengeance. Okay, so early stages, but enough to perk my interest and say we ought to be watching things here. So AGI, and I'm just going to run through these fairly quickly. There's a pretty comprehensive video from the other week which you can use in conjunction with this. We took a long position which we got stopped out of recently in this, and we've come down further into our target box. We've actually come down and hit this 138.2 and 50% retrace fib right on the nose and bounced. So we're back about just 2 cents above where we got stopped out. And I'm not going to just jump straight back in, but I'm considering adding this stock back to the portfolio with the stop just here at the recent low. Any of you want to go ahead and do that, you know, it's not an unreasonable thing to do. I'm just going to watch to see what the GDX does during the course of the next 24 to 48 hours prior to doing that. But long term, the upside in this potential stock potential in this stock is absolutely huge. We're looking at a threefold increase just for the wave 1 of the next degree up. ARNGF, Argonaut Gold, I'm still not interested in this. It is possible that this is all of the two, but even if that's the case, I've not got anything here to work with, so I'm just going to pass over that one. Curie Mining, same thing. I'm think we still need lower in this stock. If we take this peak out here at 894, and certainly if we take out 1026, I'll reconsider. But at the moment, nothing here that's attractive to invest in. Now, Detour Gold, this is one that we did not take earlier in the month when we added some stocks, and it's coming down nicely now. So the area of interest to watch, 786 to 758. If we see that and a small bounce, that would get me to enter this position long in Detour Gold in the portfolio. And Franco-Nevada, again, we're long this stock already. We've got our stop just below this low here. And we've either got a 1, 2, and we now need to see it come up and take out the recent highs at 75.36, and we should be on our way. That's based on this Alt2 count. In any event, I would still expect higher as a retrace against this. If this primary count is going to play out, then I think we've got an A, B, C for the A wave, and we get higher and then down. So once we start to see higher, we'll move our stops up to entry at the appropriate point and see if the alt count's going to play out. We need to take out 86.13 to confirm that count. Curie Mining. So we've taken a long position in this stock, we're still in that. And again, this is looking to me like we have a 1, 2 into the 50% retrace, and we're starting to take back off. So I want to see this low from this week at 371 hold in this stock, and certainly no lower than 363 to 352. So that's what I'm looking for in Curie Mining. Harmony Gold. Now, I know this has bounced strongly and it's held up rather well, but I still think this needs a drop down here. I can't count a completed move here, and the A to C relationship doesn't make sense either. So I'm still looking for this move down to 123. And in order to get long here, the stop loss level would be 30-odd%. So I'm not considering adding at this point. If we take out 299, then I'd have to reconsider. But at the moment, I think this is all part of a complex. You can see the pattern is just horrible. I think this is an A, B, C for the 4. It can come up a touch higher here to 223, and then we drop back down. King Cross. Now, again, the low in Jan 2016, I've got as a B wave, and the C up projects all the way up to around the 32 area for the 1.0 extension. Got a 1 up to here, A, B still looking lower, but very much like NEM, it is possible we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, and we're going to take off. So I'm going to watch. If this can get above 490, then I would consider adding it to the portfolio. For the brave of you, you can add it here with the stop either at this spike low at 348, or if you want a more sensible stop, just under 323. That is the alt count, with the alt 1 and the 2 has come back and spiked the 618 and bounced. Not seeing any signs of divergence or turning up here yet on the MACD, but this is a daily chart, so it'll take a little bit more price action to see that. There is some divergence on the histogram though. So again, it's not an unreasonable thing to do to take a position here with a small stop. And these stocks rarely afford you a gentleman's entry with a reasonable stop. Sometimes you just got to sort of pinch your nose and jump in. Now, MUX, we need to see this hold this 194 here. The only other possibility would be that we hold 187. Otherwise, we're going to drop down further into the zone. So we're still long at the moment, but by the skin of our teeth. It's closed over our stop loss. I use a closing basis for the stops on these, unless I see them start to tank during the day, and we need to just stand aside. But jury's still out as to whether we need to drop back down here to this 176, and it can come as low as this 141 area in MUX. The difficulty being that if this triangle count is correct, the E waves in triangles are literally the most difficult. We hit the 50% retrace here at 179, the next fib down's at 141, and then below that just on $1, and that would be right on the lower trend line channel of the triangle. So I'm still holding onto that position. I'm not going to be foolish with it and get carried away because of the targets above. You know, obviously when you're looking at a target up at $130 for a $2 stock, it's tempting to hold on, but that is not the way to do this. There'll be other opportunities to get into the stock. Pan American Silver, again, still needs lower. So I'm just going to pass over this. I want at least 1282 to 72 and more likely 1080 in this stock. So I'm just going to leave that one. Seabridge, again, still needs lower. I can't get, as I looked at in NEM, an alternative count here that would attract me to consider this stock here. Sandstorm, let's just quickly look at the weekly chart. Now, you could make a case for 5 up to here, but it's hit this 764 and come down sharply. So again, not for me at this point, because this can come all the way down here to 254. If we can take out 676, then I would reconsider, but with caution, because it could be that would be a part of a fifth of a diagonal up, and we still need a deep retrace. So staying on the watch list, but nothing of interest at this point in time. SSR Mining, it is possible the two's done at this 50% retrace, but then again, it doesn't really look right. To me, it needs to drop down here, 644. So again, keeping it on the watch list. We have had this spike and reversal with a slightly lower low, so it is possible that it's done. But again, I'm not inclined to add it at this point. We're up at 880 already. The stop would need to be down here at 763 on a very uncertain pattern to me. So at the moment, I'm just going to keep that one on the watch list. Silver Corp, again, this I mentioned the other day, there's very little history on this. You can count 5 up to here. We spiked the 886. We were down here when I mentioned it and said, you know, for the brave, if you want to take a stab here, I didn't. You can count another 1, 2 to the upside, and then you'd need to take out 299. But for me, I'm leaving this one at the moment. And finally, Tahoe. Tahoe missed coming into our target box by a hair's breadth, 20, 30 cents, and very unclear pattern. So I haven't entered down here. 60-minute chart, you can see we've got this enormous move up. Is that all going to reverse? I don't know. Again, I don't have a massive amount of history on this stock, so I'm being very, very cautious with it, and just keeping it on the watch list for now. It would have to take this spike high out here and then the one out here at 830 for me. So I'd rather wait for the one up, two back, and then enter this stock, and we should have some more clarification on the GDX itself at that point in time. Okay, so if there are any changes to the positions in the portfolio, those will go out as emails from the site, and you will also see the positions table updated on the dashboard area of the main site. That's it for now. I'll be back later in the live room today.